If you're being sued by a debt collector, don't panic. Watch the entire video. This video is going to help you in terms of being able to respond and handle the situation. I'm not an attorney, but I work with attorneys, and I've helped clients and even my students in the past get these cases dismissed. So watch the entire video. I'm going to share my screen. We're going to get straight to it. So I was talking with my attorneys I work with pretty recently, and I just took notes on what they said as far as what to do when being sued by a debt collector. Because me not being an attorney, I've just been curious if what I'm doing is what I'm supposed to be doing. So, this is what I got as a result of talking with them. So, number one, you got to answer and answer on time. So, depending on the state that you're in, it could be anywhere from 20 to 30 days once you're served in terms of your response. It's really important to respond. And a lot of people, they really mess themselves up by not responding on time. And then that's where you get like the default judgments and things like that. If you don't know what a default judgment is, it's basically where the court is just saying because you didn't respond, they're going to give the debt collector the win and whatever they're asking, which could be for that debt. Maybe it includes attorney fees as well. So you really want to respond. Not only respond, you want to respond on time because you don't want to get fucked up just because you don't respond on time. So, like I said, the consequence can be getting a default judgment against you, and they'll get what they're asking for. It could also be wage garnishments. So, answering is the most important thing to do to not get a default, right? One of the attorneys I work with, she's very like cutthroat, very straightforward, just like me. And she was really emphasizing to me, you need to answer. You need to answer. You need to answer. You need to answer. You need to answer on time, right? So, make sure you answer on time instead of just panicking and not answering on time. And then when it comes to the allegation, so you can admit, you could deny, or you could say like you don't know or you don't have knowledge of the allegations that they're saying, right? So keep that in mind if you are doing it yourself. So the second thing that I got as a result in terms of my notes with the talking with them is that you got to make sure and ask yourself, is the debt really yours, right? So you want to make sure it's been properly validated. Let's say, for example, it's $962.34, but you don't recall that exact amount. Then it's an alleged thing, right? This is not legal advice, everything I'm saying. And you're not saying it ain't yours. You probably just want to deny that you have knowledge of that. So by default, it's going to be okay, I deny this allegation versus like agreeing with it. So look up the statute of limitations in your state. That's important as well. They always emphasize too the know your rights under the FDCPA, which I agree. I impressed them by knowing certain statutes like 1692C within the FDCPA. So, me and these attorneys were on one accord when we say it's important to understand your rights under the FDCPA. So make sure you understand your FDCPA rights. One thing I personally recommend, this is me, right? I'm not saying this came from the attorneys, but one thing I recommend to my people, because to be transparent, I have helped people before I started working with attorneys. I've helped people dismiss their cases just from me learning from mentorship and things like that, right? And one thing that's worked for us is requesting the entire purchase agreement because when you request an entire purchase agreement, they're not going to want to show that to you, right? So when you're doing a debt validation request, you want to request an entire purchase agreement. So whether you're disputing before getting sued or if you're disputing in terms of getting sued, but just understand that you do want to, in my opinion, you want to request an entire purchase agreement because that'll kind of reveal the cap that they're doing. So some tools you can use to respond. So number one, everything is ran by AI nowadays, right? If you're not with AI, then you're just gonna get lost, right? So one site that's helpful, and I didn't have access to this when I was helping people, back in the day as far as getting those dismissals. So y'all got no excuse if you're doing it yourself, right? So you can go to solosuit.com. So you see here they say sue for a debt, we're here to help. So you must respond to a lawsuit within 14 or 30 days of receiving a complaint. SoloSuit makes it easy to respond. So they're going to ask you some questions and then they'll basically do it for you. Oh, hold on. Maybe I shouldn't go there. So look how it works. You respond to a few questions about your case. They'll actually have a real attorney review your documents, and then they're going to complete your answer document and file it for you with the court. and the person that's suing you. So it's no excuse. You got no excuse, right? If you want to do it yourself. So you got some options here. So you can look at that. The best deal is a premium, 247, $67 for the standard. So keep that in mind. That is a resource that you can literally use if you don't want to go through using an actual attorney. Technically, you're going to use an attorney because an attorney is going to review your response. You can find an attorney on consumeradvocates.org. So that's a resource where you can find attorneys in your area. And to be transparent, the attorneys I work with, that's essentially how I found them. I'll be real. Like, let's say you are looking for someone to help your case. Let's say you're a credit repair business owner, you're looking to build those relationships. It's not the easiest thing to do. I'm not saying it's impossible to do because obviously I did it, but that's a resource you can go to, not just for debt collection situations, but also FCRA, right? If you want to sue the credit bureaus, because the attorneys I work with, we sue the credit bureaus as well. We sue the credit bureaus, we sue the creditors, we sue obviously the debt collectors, and then obviously getting these debt collection cases dismissed. So they do it all, we do it all, and just keep that in mind. So the last option, going off of what I said, you could book a call in the description and get with my team and use the attorneys that I work with. Obviously, we have a credit repair business, so this is part of our services. This is not a free service. If you happen to be a dumbass that just think somehow this is free, this is a business, you know what I'm saying? So we're just saving you time and obviously giving you a high ROI type of thing. If you don't want to do it through a solo suit, if you don't want to go through the time of finding your own attorney on consumeradvocates.org. So we're saving you time and money, right? If you want to go through us. Like I said, we also do sue the debt collectors and the credit bureaus if you have a case. I'm not saying it's just gonna be it's guaranteed or anything. You have to have a case. So if you feel like you have a case, go ahead and book a link in the description. It'll be our application for credit repair, and then just answer all the questions, and we'll have someone on my team meet with you and assess your situation, and we'll go from there. With that being said, hopefully this was helpful. Y'all have a blessed one.